It's really common today for someone to lose that stomach acid function that allows them to digest their food correctly. And science is now showing us all the significant health issues that can come about from this problem. If this is new information for you, we'll put a link in the description below for our video on why you need stomach acid, and you can check that out. But in this video, we're going to talk about 10 signs of low stomach acid so you can get an idea if you're dealing with this problem before the real trouble shows up. You don't want to miss this.
TC Hale is not a doctor and does not claim to be a doctor or licensed in any type of medical field. Don't be an idiot and use anything heard on the show as medical advice. This information should be used for educational purposes only, and you should contact your doctor for any medical advice. Now get off me.
Now, none of these signs that we're going to talk about today are diagnostic. None of them mean that you absolutely have low stomach acid. They're just all possible signs of low stomach acid. And some of these things that we'll talk about have other possible underlying causes as well. But if you're dealing with one or more of these, then that can be worth you figuring out, okay, I need to look into this and see if I really do have a stomach acid issue or not. And keep in mind that nobody's going to deal with all of these signs in most cases. You'll really be a champion if you're rocking all of these signs. But if you're dealing with any of these issues and you want to know a little bit more about them, we have videos that cover most of these topics in depth and help you understand how they come about and things you can do to correct them. So we'll put all the links to those videos in the description below. But here, let's just rip through these signs so you have an idea of, oh, do I have a stomach acid problem or not? And the first sign that I want to talk about is burping or bloating. And it can even just be like the little burps. It doesn't have to be like the huge belch captain of the world. You can just be having those little burps, especially after meals. And if you're burping or if you're bloating, this is usually a sign of bacteria in the stomach or small intestine where it shouldn't be. Our beneficial bacteria should just be in the large intestine. So when bad bacteria is in our stomach, they create these gases, which creates pressure, and that's going to push that gas back up and cause us to burp, or it's going to cause the stomach or intestinal tract to expand, and then we bloat. The thing about having proper stomach acid function is that it fries these bacteria when they come in on the food that we're eating. It's the barrier to the whole body. Our stomach acid is that knight in disgusting armor. So if you're burping or you're bloating and that bacteria came in, it's usually because there's not enough stomach acid to fry them and kick them out the door. Sign number 2 is if you experience heartburn, acid reflux, or GERD. Yes, these are all signs of not enough stomach acid. They don't come from too much stomach acid like we're told by advertisers. If this is new information for you, you really want to check out our video on why do I have acid reflux, because you need to understand why this comes about. When there's not enough stomach acid in there, it doesn't have the ability to trigger that valve at the bottom of the esophagus to close correctly, and then the reflux comes back up. So this is a really strong sign of someone not having enough stomach acid. And here's another sign. If you're using an acid reflux medication or antacids or a PPI, all those are a really strong sign of low stomach acid because they all turn off stomach acid or they all neutralize stomach acid. They're either turning it off or neutralizing it so it can't function correctly. So if you're using any of those issues, it's almost a confirmation that you have low stomach acid. Sign number 3 is indigestion or digestive discomfort. You know, if you just feel like you're really full for a really long time after you eat, or food just kind of sits there like a rock in your stomach for hours, these are all signs that you're not breaking that food down. And when you don't have enough stomach acid to break that food down, then it has to break down by a process of rotting and fermenting. And this rotting and fermenting can create toxins and gases, and these gases create more pressure and discomfort, especially if you're uncomfortable after a large protein meal. We really need stomach acid to break down protein properly and turn that into amino acids that the body can use as building blocks. So if you eat a steak and it just feels really miserable in your stomach, or some type of high protein meal, it's really likely that you don't have enough stomach acid to break that meal down properly. Number 4 is chronic nausea. So if you're nauseated all the time, this is a really strong sign that you're not breaking down that food, and that rotting and fermenting is creating too many toxins that are making the system a little bit too toxic. Now, it's also possible to deal with chronic nausea from poor bile flow. So that's the other half of digestion that needs to be working correctly for us to really be able to break down our food like we should. So we'll put a link to our video for 10 signs of poor bile flow in the description below so you can check that out if you're dealing with nausea. Number 5 is signs you can see in your stool. Did you know that all the cool kids are stool gazers? They're looking at their poop to see if any freaky parasites or aliens are coming out the back door, and you can learn a lot from looking at your stool. So number one is if you're constipated. That's your stool telling you that you may not have enough stomach acid, because our stool moves through the system at a pace according to its acidity level. And it's really common for chronic constipation to be caused by a lack of stomach acid. Now there's other causes of constipation as well, and we go over that in a lot of videos you can find in the description, but if you're dealing with chronic constipation, that can be a sign of low stomach acid. If your stool is green, that could also be a sign of low stomach acid, because our bile is this green color. And when it mixes with the acidic product that leaves the stomach, it creates this sizzle and helps us bust the food apart, and it turns that stool into the brown color that we usually see. So if it's green, then you're seeing mostly bile and not enough stomach acid. The other thing is if you're seeing undigested food in your stool, that's saying, hey, this food didn't get digested. A lot of people are like, oh, a lot of things just kind of come out and I see them in there, it's no big deal. I see that food got digested as well. But if there's things you're seeing that are not digested, then you're not really breaking that food down. We should conquer the food that we eat as humans. We should really break down everything and just see a nice brown stool. It should be so great that you want to post a picture on Facebook. Sign number 6 is a loss of appetite. A lot of times when someone is not digesting that food correctly and it's just kind of having to break down by rotting and fermenting, that rotting and fermenting takes a lot longer to happen. So that food's just kind of sitting there and the body's like, well, don't send anything else down here. I'm not done with the mess that you sent down here before. So that can make a person lose their appetite. And oddly enough, sign number 7 can be the opposite of that. What if a person is hungry all the time? A lot of times if you can't truly break your food down and pull all the nutrients out of that food, the body's going to scream for more food. Do you know that's why we eat food? We eat food to get the nutrients out of that food. So when you can't digest the food correctly and pull the nutrients out, the body's going to say, hey, I got the signal that food was coming, but I never got anything. Send me some more down here. So this person can be hungry all the time. If a guy can only break down the food enough to get 10% of the nutrients out of there, doesn't it make sense that he's going to want 10 cheeseburgers just to get the nutrients that you and I may have got out of one? So if a person's hungry all the time, one possibility is that they're not making enough stomach acid to digest their food correctly. Sign number 8 is low energy. Now there's other causes of low energy and chronic fatigue, but sometimes chronic fatigue is about the person doesn't have the ability to turn that food into fuel because they're not breaking it down properly. One tricky aspect to this sign is that if a person doesn't have enough resources to create energy to feel like, hey, I want to get up off the couch and do something, then they may also not have enough resources to make hydrochloric acid. That's what stomach acid is. And the body needs minerals and other nutrients to be able to make hydrochloric acid. So a person can kind of get stuck in this cycle of broken digestion for years or decades. Sign number 9 is significant cravings, and especially sugar or cravings for carbohydrates. Because when the body can't break down food correctly and get the nutrients it wants, it will scream for these processed junk, carbohydrates, and sugars to give it some immediate fuel source in a pinch. Because these junk carbohydrates and sugars are a lot easier for the body to break down and turn into fuel. You don't need a lot of stomach acid to really break down a Pop-Tart. It's practically broken down already in the package. It's just chemicals and junk. So all these kind of foods are really easy to break down. And if you can't access the nutrients in the real food you're eating, your body will scream for this junk. So we have videos in the description below that talk about how to correct these cravings by fixing the digestive process. And sign number 10 is imbalanced blood pressure. And this can actually go either way. We see a lot of people that have really low blood pressure because minerals are part of what makes up that blood pressure. It's part of what thickens up the blood and raises the pressure needed to push it through the system. So when we see someone with blood pressure where the top systolic number is lower than 112, that's a really strong sign that there's not enough minerals in this system. And this is usually the case due to an inability to break the food down properly and pull the nutrients and minerals out of the food that you're eating. Now here's the tricky part, is that high blood pressure could also be a sign for low stomach acid, because if a person can't break down proteins correctly, those undigested proteins can kind of gum up the system and thicken up that blood and then raise the pressure needed to push it through the system again. So we really want to see our blood pressure in a good range, and if it's not, we want to look at digestion and figure out if something's going wrong. So if you need help figuring this out, my book Kick Your Fat in the Nuts will walk you through how to figure out which aspects of digestion are not working correctly, and if so, what steps will help you correct those issues. And the book is available on Amazon, but I'm going to put a link in the description below where you can get the whole thing totally for free. And chapters 3 and 4 will walk you right through that process, and you can skip right to that part and start investigating the situation for yourself. And if you hate to read, we also have a totally free digestion course, and we'll put the link to that free course in the description below as well. For now, if you feel like you're dealing with a lot of these signs and you want to understand how to correct that stomach acid function, jump over to our video on how to fix digestive symptoms, and that'll walk you through that process. I can't wait to hear about your results.